Welcome back to 52 Lockup. I am your Appletini Cadma of Bitten Apple TV. 52 Lockup is a series I basically started to talk about one of my biggest passions, true crime. So there's always a new episode on every Cadmaniac Monday. So for 52 Mondays, 52 crimes. Hope you guys enjoy. So be sure to comment, like, feedback, give me something to work with, subscribe. Either way, viewer discretion is advised. So today's episode starts with Tamil Esco. You probably know him. He's the news-breaking 42-year-old who beat a 67-year-old Asian woman 125 times in Yonkers. So let's get started. So Tamil has a long history of crimes, including hate crimes, apparently. I wanted to dig deeper into his past. However, his history gets a little pricey in regards to get a hold of, like if you want to just view public records for New York State. So I did the best I could for this particular episode, but I did want to discuss it because I did think it was very important. So from what I had found online, he was born on February 3rd, 1980. He could be born in New York State or city, but the truth is I'm taking my gander bets on my research, and I'm pretty confident he's actually from Mississippi. So Tamil has a Twitter account he opened up in 2013, where you would find a very, very unhappy photo of himself and a blurry photo of a small child. The child's name is unknown, but I did see comments from other people stating that he was allegedly punching this child, so they were like ecstatic to see him in jail and away from society, especially and particularly to this little girl. So his social media goes quiet from 2013 roughly until about 2018, and then he starts posting these random posts, right? So I'll run through some of them with you. Worst experience with Spirit Airlines ever. Rude, nasty, downright ghetto. Made a complaint and nothing. I might as well got robbed without a gun. He puts an emoji just so you guys know. His tweets continue with like a variety of things, like from things like that to like, good morning, as if he's hoping to either connect with people or if he's just, I don't know what he was hoping, because it's kind of sporadic when you're reading all this. But when I read his other tweets, I kind of get the impression this is a person who is genuinely angry with the world. And it seems like he's the kind of person who will misinterpret someone ignoring him by walking by and will proceed to perceive it as like validation to their mistreatment of them as a person. That's the impression that I get from this person. Now, as 20 continues, you see him make posts like hashtag Bank of America is by far the worst bank I've ever dealt with in my entire life. Took my bread and no explanation. Obviously he's having money trouble, but he doesn't have any coping skills, right? For whatever's going on in his life. And this makes sense to me, especially considering his criminal history. He was so angry about whatever happened with Bank of America so much, apparently, that he wrote several more tweets to complain. And then one tweet almost seems like an indirect, odd commentary that could be like a threat or like something else. So he writes hashtag Bank of America, watch the news, I'm about to be famous. That can mean anything, especially given the circumstances for why he's so popular now. Then continues with how they picked on the wrong black man today. A few days later in May, he complains about the rudeness of Sonic employees. October 28th, he tweets hashtag Cricket, Mount Vernon, New York, 10:35, still not open, but they cut my phone off for non-payment. For those who may not know, but Cricket is actually an American wireless service provider owned by AT&T that provides affordable wireless services to 10 million subscribers in the United States. And we all know how expensive phones can be, without Nikola Tesla. He seems to take like a break from Twitter and becomes more active on his other social media accounts from what I could find. However, this definitely feeds into the idea that he's feeding his anger, like he's feeding into it, and his anger is aimed directly towards the world and anyone that's even in that view. And we all either know someone that is like that or knew someone that was like that. It has been suggested from research that those who have like a tendency to become and stay angry, who carry that angry, that anger like at the world, that mentality is actually confidently from some studies have been associated with high neurotic. I'm just gonna say neurotic. I don't know what happened. I forgot to speak English, but I apologize. And low agreeableness. People like this will have or may have habits or attitudes of feeling entitled, which can stem easily from like internalized social constructed concepts. It can be a person could be focusing on things that are like out of their control, that makes them so angry, incapability of regulating their emotions, other things outside of their control that they feel like, I can't control it, or even the refusal to see others' perspectives. I mean, meaning they are stuck in Plato's allegory cave, right? They will feel a low tolerance for discomfort, ambiguity, have a fragile ego like most toxic men, right? And or hyper focus the blame on of life on other things, right? So, according to Psychology Today's article, I quote, while there is no official anger disorder, dysfunctional anger and aggression can be a symptom of intermittent explosive disorder, oppositional defiant disorder, conduct disorder, and borderline personality disorder. It may also play a role in manic episodes, ADHD, and narcissism, right? So intermittent explosive disorder are the like impulsive, angry people, right? Oppositional defiant disorder is more of a disruptive behavior disorder that involves like a pattern of anger, right? And irritable, like they're like irritated every 2 seconds, right? And they're defiant or vindictive behaviors, meaning it's like a rinse and repeat kind of pattern, right? So we have also conduct disorder, which is a disruptive disorder as behavior disorder as well, but it involves a pattern of violating norms and rules and the basic rights of others, right? So it's like a step up. Individuals with conduct disorder may bully, threaten, or physically hurt others. They may be cruel to animals, right? Lie, steal, or destroy property. As you're reading about this, I think Tamil is falling under ODD as well as conduct disorder, in my opinion. But then when you get to one that breaks down borderline personality disorder, which is a condition characterized by instability and impulsivity, including bursts of rage, right, or violence, terrified of abandonment, people with BPD cling to those close to them and crave reassurance and validation and are deeply upset by seemingly small changes, right? So we've seen this in a couple of the other previous episodes, right? This turbulence can involve angry outbursts, severe mood swings, the feeling of hopelessness, paranoia, self-harm, suicidal tendencies. This brings to light, perhaps this is the category that the guy could be living in, right? It could be any of those categories, including from depression. And when you look at his photos, he looks severely depressed, like something's wrong. I did not see that this person was like completely alone in life. Like he had some kind of support. Like there were some family members who obviously had some kind of support. He had friends, but I'm not sure of their relationship with them. But perhaps the support system that he had was not truly deep enough for him to like stay out of trouble. Now, no one truly knew how mentally, unstable he was becoming over the years. Perhaps that's a possibility. And they didn't step in where they should have. There are signs when someone needs help, right? And I often question, do humans pay enough attention to intervene before something tragic truly happens? I mean, are we paying enough attention, right? So whether he's from New York, which I still doubt, or migrated up to the tri-state area from Mississippi, Tamil is building up a record of 14 arrests and multiple convictions, right? So it seems part of Tamil's record includes pleading guilty to a third-degree criminal possession of controlled substance in 2009. Now, I do not know what the controlled substance was, but it is referred to as a controlled substance because of the methods of how the substance is made, used, handled, stored, and distributed. So Tamil could have had opioids, stimulants, depressants, hallucinogens, and even anabolic steroids during this arrest. He also was spending a little over 2 years between 2011 to 2013 after pleading guilty to second-degree assault, a felony, after stabbing his daughter's mother in their Yonkers apartment in 2010. Yeah. So, guess we now know who the little kid in the photo is, right? So, his continued history of substance abuse is what led to a previous hate crime that he committed in 2021 when he pushed a woman, like, through a glass window, right? But luckily, luckily for this woman, she did not suffer many injuries, but her good luck is what would be the reason why Tamil was conditionally discharged from this attack. Now, the woman he had pushed through the window was actually a tenant's granddaughter from the same building that he lived in at 461 Riverdale Avenue. Yeah, some of you may recognize it because they've been in the news a lot. And frequently. It was another tenant's granddaughter. He was stalking her into the building, and then whatever happened between the two of them, he pushed her through the window. In fact, actually, the tenant was actually awfully surprised and confused to why he was never removed from the building, especially after the incident. I did not find out what the ethnic background of that particular woman was, but it was evident that these two attacks, he's perfectly fine with attacking women. That's his thing, like, you know, baby mama, girl in the building, doesn't matter. So after this attack, he was forced to actually attend a 5-month inpatient program for substance abuse. Now, here we are a complete year later. The resident was not removed, right, from 461 Riverdale Avenue. Now we have beautiful, sweet little 67-year-old Filipina mother breaking news and hearts in 2022. She was known to be very well liked. She was loved by her neighbors. The tenants remember her daughter. They remembered her husband, who unfortunately had passed away. And her husband apparently was a mailman. So this is like a well-liked tenant, and she's got family in the building. Everyone likes her. Her name is not mentioned in news, so I will respect that. But it's just like she's got nothing but hearts and love like everywhere for her. You know what I mean? But according to witnesses, Esco left the apartment building like in a rage. So he passes by the 67-year-old woman and he proceeds to decide, my anger at the world is going at you. He yells at her, yells racial slurs, right? That she ignored, a natural New Yorker response, right? So Tamil turns around and follows the woman back into the apartment building that they both live at, and once again causes mayhem at the same building, 461. Like, what are we doing? In the surveillance video, it is clear that this woman is putting her keys into her door with her shopping cart behind her, and then Tamil just opens the door completely, viciously knocks the woman down on the right side of her head. She hits the wall and then the floor. While she is on the floor, you can see her glimpse up for a second of pure confusion and then fear. Then Tamil proceeds to block any way of her escaping, right? Because she's between the door and him. Her shopping cart is up against the other door. This woman does not have any space to go. And you can see this woman decides to ball herself up, like just like this, to protect her body as much as possible. Tamil delivers 125 punches to the 67-year-old woman. And as anyone watching this video, you can see he is like putting his hip into it, into every single strike. I mean, everything about striking, fighting, defending yourself, it's in the hips. My heart cracked watching another hate crime with hateful passion. He kicks her several times, spits on her more than once, and the attack goes on for 90 seconds until another tenant who was approaching the door and started banging on the glass with door, like, hey, like, what the fuck? And then finally, for whatever reason, he stops. He looks up, sees the other tenant, and then just walks out. But it's been 90 seconds. The fucking damage is already done. It's too late. So the woman suffered multiple contusions and lacerations to her head and face, facial bone fractures, and bleeding on the brain. She was, of course, taken to a trauma center. The police stated she was stable now and she's currently recovering in a hospital. But when it came to Tamil, I mean, they found him outside the building. He was taken into custody without an incident. Like, oh yeah, that's me, bro. Like, there was no issue. Apparently, this building seems to come into the news often, right? So for some of you who may not know, you'd be like, what? You mentioned that earlier. But yeah, no, for the tenants, they permit to live in the building have done a lot of harmful things to them as well as to the community. Tenants of the building have stated that the building has a never-ending problem, and with homelessness, drug use, drug trading, and apparently because that's like frequent for the building. And this could have been avoided, the truth is, if he was removed from the building the first time he stalked, attacked, and I don't know, threw someone through a fucking glass window, but that could just be me, just me and my crazy ideas. No, but seriously, there were warning signs. There were incidents as warning signs, yet it took for a sweet 67-year-old Filipina to end up in a trauma center for things to change. That's fucking atrocious. Yes, Tamil needed psychological help for a long time, but that behavior is disgusting. Currently, he is not out on bail from what I had found, given to like which is important given this what happened in Chinatown with the young lady where he followed her into her apartment and stabbed her to death, and that guy was released, and that's how that even occurred. So I'm glad to see that this man is not even out on bail. But I mean, when you look at this, you're like, how is this going on? And I think about the New York State bail reform of 2019, where cash bail was eliminated for many misdemeanors and nonviolent felony charges that included stalking, assault without serious injury. Sounds like the tennis granddaughter, right? Burglary, drug offenses, and even a few arson and robbery cases. I remember reading the paper on it and saying that going into the effect of by January 1st, 2020, like that's when this was going to happen. I mean, New York State judges received opposition from lawmakers, district attorneys, and police chiefs who were like, hey, I don't know if you know this, but we live inside Gotham City and we should not be releasing the Arkham Asylum, inmates on the city. Like, think you should listen. But the judges had already started releasing criminal suspects in November 2019. It was estimated that by the time the law took effect, there would be 25,000 people released within the first year. 100,000 cases that were released. 1/5 of these people would be rearrested for misdemeanors, and nonviolent felonies learned that they couldn't really stay. They were just like, okay, thanks, bye. However, 2% of those 100,000 were violent felony charges for the rearrest. So that's 2,000 violent felonies in exchange with the city. Sure, some say it will help stop the poor from being jailed before trial due to lacking of resources and, resources. But, I mean, is it really helping? I mean, sure, the person is not in jail, but can we begin, what do they need, right? So, but if this person does not have a steady job, steady housing, if they did those things because they don't have those things and they're still missing those things when you send them back out into the street, how much sense does it make to still continue to send them out there? Are we even doing them a service, or society, or the future victims of these crimes? I mean, do I have all the answers? No. But I do think we should start taking notes from other countries. Perhaps we could take a couple of notes from Norway, right? Because they have a low they managed to keep their recidivism rates extremely low in comparison. I mean, we're only 244 years old, and I think we have a lot to learn in our teenage years, right? And we should take some notes from maybe some other countries. It's insane to me. You know what I mean? There were warning signs, and the fact that he was able to stab his baby mama, and I couldn't find the details of the case as much as I really would have preferred to. 2 years, I mean, where was the rehabilitation for that? And I don't know when he managed to move to that apartment building in Yonkers, but the truth is, he obviously was there from 2000, at least prior to 2021, right? Because he stalked that other woman. I mean, there are all these other signs, and then some people are like, well, the bail reform is for this, the bail reform is for that. But the truth is, it's hard to do that in the midst of chaos. And some people may say oh, well, that's because it's New York City. Those things happen in New York City. Yes and no, but things also happen in those quiet little towns quite frequently as well. But just, people like to keep things quiet. So, I think with the bail reform, they need to figure something else out, because that's not working. I mean, when you look at people committing these crimes, often they don't really have options. They don't have resources. They don't have money. Their jobs are not being paid well. So if people are stealing and committing crimes because they're trying to keep their heads above the water, if we pay people enough, there are less crimes. Oh, but that means less people in prison. Oh, I see where the issue could be. As for what Tamil did, that is absolutely horrendous. And I'm just confused that you see that he's having an issue. You see that he already has substance abuse issues, right? Which means even if there was an opportune moment for him to think correctly, he's not going to, because of all the damage up in his head, right? Now, this hate crime was absolutely atrocious. This is a full-on hate crime. I don't care how angry he was with the world. That is atrocious, and it is such a nasty fucking thing to do to another human being. It just doesn't make sense. And it's frustrating because like I'm watching all these like different communities, people like attacking, like, I don't like you because of your skin color, because of your face, or because of this. It's fucking stupid. Like, it literally takes 2 seconds of your life to mind your fucking business. Like, legit. I know, hold on. It sounds crazy. It sounds wild, but it would have taken 2 seconds to fucking keep walking. Yeah, like, that's it. And the other thing is that I also feel like what's angering me, because it breaks my heart to like watch this, when you are looking at the news in the Asian community, you're seeing like a lot of attacks against particularly women and the elderly. Women are always the first ones, right? They're like, she's weaker, I'm gonna go for that. We're small, whatever the case may be. They are picking out their victim regardless of anything. I mean, anyone could have passed by this woman, by this man, and he could have decided, I'm going to pick this one. But he picked her because she's elderly and because she's female, as well as for her race. And that is absolute bullshit. And it's frustrating because, like, there's so much fucking going on, and yet it's like we're close to a solution, and then someone's like, let's make you move 2 steps back. Like, it's Chutes and Ladders. Like, what the fuck are we doing? I wanted to just kind of cover more about this case just because it, like, really, really bothered me. And especially, like, to watch him, like, putting his hip into it. I mean, he's really pummeling the shit out of this fucking lady because she ignored him. I can't even begin to tell you how many men I fucking walk by and they say something fucking stupid like, bitch, because I won't, acknowledge them or whatever. And then I always turn back around just to make sure these motherfuckers aren't following me. In fact, I just had that issue the other week ago. Some dude went to go talk to me and he proceeded to follow me off of a bus and then walk behind me intentionally until I turned around and he realized I'm ready to throw fucking hands. But I'm also a little bit older, so maybe that's, not older, younger rather, that made him go, this one could be a problem. But if I'm 67 years old, what's to stop someone from fucking doing that to me? And it doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like he should have received the help that he needed. A 5-month substance abuse program is not enough. If you get them through the system, like, and they're like, okay, he's no longer suffering from withdrawal, he's away from the drug. The truth is, when you are abusing substances, it affects your system on a whole other different level, and it takes a lot to not return to it. I mean, it takes immensely a lot. I do not think 5 months was enough time, and I think if they had him a little bit longer, the truth is, we probably could have fucking avoided it. I also think the building should have thrown his ass out, because I understand that she didn't sustain like these major like injuries, but why should she have to be injured when she's visiting her grandmother in order to get someone thrown out of the building? Like, that's a threat to the tenant as well as to the granddaughter, right? Maybe the granddaughter lived there, I don't really know. Or if she didn't live there and she was just visiting her grandmother, why didn't you remove the problem? Why wasn't he taken to a therapist? Why weren't there other protocols in place to stop something as nasty and it's just fucking atrocious? Like, there are so many opportunities to intervene, and I sometimes just really wonder, like, do we intervene enough? Like, I mean, I'm not perfect, but I'll give an example of a guy that I knew, and he was angry. I mean, just fucking angry at the world, and he would have done something stupid like this. And he wasn't even a big guy, he was little, but he liked to pick people that he thought he could take, right? So he was very, very angry. He'd be all like laughing, jokes, everything would be cool. And then, like, if we were walking down the street, I never forgot, a biker, and don't get me wrong, I know bikers can be assholes. I used to be one, I know. But not every biker is. So he saw the biker coming, and then he intentionally picked that person. And I watched him. I consciously watched him as we were, like, talking. I'm like, yeah, that's it. The fuck is he doing? And he consciously walks in the direction of the biker. And the truth is, a lot of people actually do that. I've seen people, like, intentionally get in the way of the biker because they're looking for a fight. They're looking for someone to fucking harm, right? So he intentionally gets in the way. The guy obviously almost fucking hits him. And then he decides, like, Like, I want to fucking fight you because you fucking came at me. You did all this. And I immediately thought, like, hold on. First of all, I will let him beat your ass because you were dead ass in the fucking wrong. Second of all, I'll call the cops after you get a punch or two. Like, and like, cause that's fucked up. You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have started that fight. But then I was also, while all this is happening, I was thinking to myself, like, do you not realize you could have actually truly hurt this guy? Because he's on a bike and you could have gotten really fucking hurt. Because you're in a bad mood. Because you're angry at the world. That guy was minding his business, trying to get to wherever he's trying to go to. Why? So, when he proceeded to walk towards the guy, I had grabbed his arm and I said, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, this fucking guy. I don't know if he thought it gave him like more machismo. Like, I don't know what the fuck was going in his head. But every time we talked, it made it very evidently clear that he was extremely angry at the world. And his anger seems to always constitute from, like, particularly from him, his anger towards his father, but he also, like, he hated his father, but he also wanted to be his father, right? So it was like he had, like, a lot of, like, daddy issues just, like, stemming from there. And as soon as, you know, the biker had went on his way, I pulled him over to the side, and I remember thinking, either he's going to get incredibly hurt, or worse, he's going to hurt someone else, like this man here had hurt this 67-year-old woman in a hate crime. For what? So I pulled him to the side and I said, what's your problem? He's like, oh, these fucking bikers, blah, 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 blah. And I said, no. We're not doing this in this conversation. It's like, one, you don't do shit like that, especially when I'm standing right here. And second of all, you shouldn't be doing that by yourself. I said, because the truth is, at any given moment, you really don't know if someone's packing heat or not. So let's be fucking smart about it. And then third of all, why? I watched you make a conscious decision. I saw the look in your face. I saw the rage in your eyes. You decided, I'm having a bad day. I want to fucking take it out on this guy. This little person here. I'm going to go fuck with them because I'm in a bad mood. I said, make it make fucking sense. He did not answer me. He's like, oh, what? No. I don't want to hear your shit. Explain it to me. Explain to me how it makes sense. Why would you consciously go and attack another person or purposely put yourself in harm's way so you have a reason to go attack another person? I mean, you might as well have been Putin in the fucking future. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to validate my reasoning for my behavior because I hate the world and I'm truly angry and I have all these other issues and I can't find a way to cope with my fucking issues. So I've decided you must pay. I said, can I even begin to tell you the number of people who have even just picked me because they wanted to fucking throw hands or just fuck with me in the street just because they were like, I don't like your face, I don't like your skin color, I don't like your fucking hair, I think you're Spanish, I have an issue with you, I think you're this, I don't have an issue with you, you're fucking red skin, you're too chinky. I've literally had all these little targets on my back for fucking dumb reasons just because someone else decided that they were angry with the world. Right? And maybe when you're in that moment or you're in that mentality, it is more difficult to actually reach out and find help. But the truth is, I think it's really up to the rest of us to have an adult conversation with these people and find a way to help them. Because in the end, I mean, sure, someone might say, it's not my backyard, but every day it is in your backyard. It is a contribution to society. You don't have to like someone. You don't have to be in love with them. You don't have to be their best friend. But sometimes you just need to talk a few fucking sense into somebody's head to get some things done. You know what I mean? And after that conversation with him, he stopped. He genuinely just fucking stopped. Now, I don't know if he continued doing it on for that day, but I know I never witnessed him start some shit with some people in the fucking public again. Anyways, I think I'm getting carried away because I was just like very angry about that video. Everyone stay as safe as you possibly can. Pay attention to the people you pass by. Pay attention to the people in your life. I mean, they could be going down a very dark path that you just don't know, that you don't realize. And they could be out there ready to harm someone else. And the truth is, regardless of what your thoughts are, think about that happening to someone that you genuinely care about. Even if you're a selfish person and you don't care about anyone, imagine it happening to you. That is today's episode. I'm just going to end it off on that note and stop Asian hate, stop the bullshit. Like, what the? Like, we're all sharing the same planet and we're already trying to destroy it on the other side, I think we can get our shit together. I think we've come enough few generations enough to be like, that probably doesn't seem like a good idea. But yeah, be smart, make better decisions. And if you see that someone needs help, try to have an adult conversation with them. And if they really, really, truly cannot be helped, maybe sound the alarm. You can save a few lives. Thank you so much for listening. That's it. Bye. Whoop, whoop.